Today, we will be looking at some of the most gruesome crimes in Hong Kong's history. Most of these cases have fortunately been solved. However, make sure to stay to the end of this video, as we will also be discussing the recent case of Abby Choi, a model who was found stuffed into a refrigerator only last week. But before we get to that, let's start with the earliest crime on this list. The Tupperware murderer. Between February and July 1982, a taxi driver named Lam Kor Wan, born in 1955, also known as the Rainy Night Butcher, terrorised female passengers. He would pick them up on rainy evenings and strangle them to death with an electrical wire before taking their bodies back to his home. Lam was an avid photographer and took pictures and videos of himself dismembering his victims, including performing necrophilia with his final victim. He even claimed to have consumed part of the intestines of his third victim and hoarded their sexual organs in Tupperware containers. After attempting to develop his gruesome photographs at a Kodak shop, the manager became suspicious and alerted the police. Lam was finally arrested on the 17th of August 1982 when he returned to retrieve his pictures. He was found guilty of 4 counts of murder and initially sentenced to death by hanging, but his sentence was later commuted to life imprisonment, without the possibility of parole. The Braemar Hill Murders. On April the 20th, 1985, 2 British teenagers, Kenneth McBride and Nicola Myers, were brutally killed by 5 young local gangsters in Tai Tam Country Park, near McBride's home in Braemar Hill Mansions. The couple, who were popular students at Island School, were studying for their A-levels when the gangsters, who were members of the local triad, provoked them for fun. Despite finding little money on the couple, the gangsters decided to attack and murder them. McBride was found bound and badly beaten with over 100 injuries, while Myers was raped, had her jaw broken, and had her left eyeball removed from its socket. With a financial reward for information, a fellow triad member eventually provided an anonymous tip to the police about the Nike shoes. This led to the arrest of the 4 culprits, including Tam Pang Shun Yi, Chil Wai Man, Cheung Yao Hang, and Won Sam Long. As of now, Pang and Chil remain in prison serving life sentences. Tam passed away from cancer while in prison, and the 2 younger gangsters were released from prison in the mid-2000s. The Tuen Mun Rapist. From April of 1992 to August of 1993, residents of Tuen Mun lived in a state of terror as a string of rapes, robberies and murders plagued the neighbourhood. The perpetrator behind these heinous crimes was Lam Kwok Wai, also known as the Tuen Mun Rapist, who was 21 years old when he committed his first offence. His calling card involved stalking young women back to their apartment buildings, sexually assaulting them and robbing them. This pattern continued, with Lam committing a total of 13 crimes, including 3 murders. Lam's reign of terror came to an end on August 5, 1993, when he raped his final victim and demanded her phone number afterwards. The victim had the foresight to report the incident to the police, who used the information to lure Lam into a trap. The next day, Lam called the victim to ask her out on a date to the movies, but the authorities were waiting for him and arrested him on the spot. In the end, Lam was found guilty of 3 counts of murder, 8 counts of rape, and 7 counts of robbery. He was sentenced to life in prison for his crimes. The Hello Kitty Murder. In 1999, a horrific murder took place in which 23-year-old nightclub hostess Fan Man Yi was abducted and held captive in a Tsim Sha Tsui apartment. Over the course of a month, 3 men subjected her to constant beatings, burnings, rapes, and even forced her to consume excrement, resulting in her death. After she passed away from her injuries, the perpetrators decapitated and dismembered her body, cooking her remains in a pot before placing her skull inside a Hello Kitty mermaid doll and discarding the rest of her remains elsewhere. In May of that year, one of the perpetrator's girlfriends led the police to the scene, finally revealing the shocking crime. Chan Man Lok, Leung Shing Cho, and Leung Wai Lun were all convicted of manslaughter and received life sentences. However, Leung successfully appealed the verdict, leading to a reduced sentence and his release from prison in April of 2014. The Milkshake Murderer. The Milkshake Murderer may not be as widely known among the locals as other notorious criminals, but the case caused a stir within the expat community of Hong Kong when it occurred in 2003, and this case has continued to be highly publicised due to an ongoing appeal. The perpetrator, American expatriate Nancy Kissel, born in 1964, earned a notorious reputation for bludgeoning her husband, Robert Kissel, to death with a strawberry milkshake laced with sedatives. Although Nancy pleaded not guilty and claimed self-defence, it is believed that Robert discovered her infidelity and that their marriage was on the brink of collapse. Robert's body was found wrapped in a rug inside of their apartment 4 days after he went missing. Despite the case appearing straightforward with direct evidence implicating Nancy as the culprit, it has attracted significant attention due to locals' curiosity about the privileged world of the wealthy in Hong Kong. Moreover, the similarities between the Kissels and some expat families were striking. Robert was a successful investment banker and his wife was a tai-tai, leading an ideal life. However, their marriage was plagued with problems behind closed doors. The entire incident resembled an American soap opera, but one that went tragically awry. The Model Murder. This is an extremely recent case, as the body, or at least parts of the body, of a model named Abby Choi were discovered on Friday the 24th of February in the refrigerator of a quaint home within the seemingly innocuous walls of Hong Kong. Police were able to find a meat grinder, an electric saw and soup pots containing human tissue and legs stuffed inside. This case becomes even crazier with the knowledge that the former husband of Abby Choi is now the focus of a citywide manhunt, while ex-brother-in-law and former parents-in-laws have been arrested in connection with this murder. The murder is currently under speculation, but the assumption is that she was killed over a financial dispute. After she divorced her ex-husband, she graciously offered to provide hospitality in the form of a house for both her ex-husband and his entire family. However, she later decided she needed to move some money around, which required the family to have to relocate. But it is also speculated that she was planning on finding this new location herself. Nevertheless, it would seem that this wasn't good enough for her ex-father-in-law, as he was said to be furious with the situation, and so it's currently understood that this murder is nothing more than a retaliation to a simple dispute over property and finances. Describing the killing as premeditated and well-planned, Superintendent Alan Chung of the Kowloon West Regional Crime Unit said, "The ground floor flat of the 3-story house in Tai Po had been carefully prepared as a place to cut up a body." He was quoted as saying, "The body parts that we found were inside the refrigerator. There are 2 legs belonging to a female. We are still looking for the head, the torso, and the hands, which we believe were disposed of elsewhere." The flat had been rented by the victim's former father-in-law, and instead of a furnished home, officers found a place starkly bare of furniture, with just a couch and a table inside. The 2 bedrooms were also empty, in addition to the meat grinder, electric saw, and 2 pots of soup containing human tissue. Police also found 2 types of chopper, a hammer, face shields, black raincoats, and a purple handbag that belonged to Choi. The suspects covered the walls of the flat with a sail, and they put on face shields and raincoats so that they would not get bloodstained by dismembering the body, Chung said. Now, as I mentioned, this is a very recent case, and new details are being released every day. So if you're interested in this story, make sure to subscribe, as we will be uploading another video later this week providing further updates. As for the other true crime cases mentioned, if you would like us to do more videos like this in the future, please let us know by leaving a like. But until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.